Hey everyone, welcome American Division Computer Science students. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Alex, and we are so pumped to be here for your ultimate HTML revision session. Our one and only goal today, get you completely 100% ready for that exam. You ready? Let's do this.
That's right, but listen, before we jump in, we've got to give a huge shout out to the person who made this all possible. All credit for this amazing guide goes to the ICT and computer science specialist, Mr. Abdul Rahman A. Mohammed.
Absolutely. I mean, he put together this incredible resource, and our job today is to basically walk you through it piece by piece and make sure every single concept is crystal clear. We're just your tour guides for his awesome work.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. We've got 4 big sessions to get through. First, we're tackling the website skeleton.
Then, we'll get into images and attributes.
After that, it's all about documentation and teamwork.
And to finish it off, we've got the Alpha Challenge. Let's get started.
Okay, session 1, the website skeleton. Let's talk about building the core structure of the web.
You know, this is such a perfect analogy. Seriously, think about it. Just like your skeleton holds you up, HTML is the absolute rock-solid foundation for every single website out there. It's the bones. Without it, you've just got a pile of, well, nothing.
Okay, so let's talk about what Mr. Abdul Rahman calls the HTML sandwich. You might also hear it called boilerplate. This is the absolute starting point for any web page. You literally can't start coding without it.
Right, let's break it down. You see that first line, doc type HTML? That's you telling the browser, hey, I'm about to give you some modern HTML code. It always goes first. Okay, so what comes next? You've got the big wrapper, the HTML tag. And inside that, it's like 2 separate rooms. You've got the head and the body. And this is so important to get right. The head section is for all the behind-the-scenes stuff. Think of it as the brains of the operation. The title you see in your browser tab, that lives in the head. But the body, that's the main event. Yeah, the body is where everything the user actually sees goes. The text, the images, the videos, all of it. So you'd never, ever put the body inside the head, right? They're neighbors, not roommates. A simple rule, but a super important one.
All right, Alex, let's talk headings. We've got a whole family of them, from H1 all the way down to H6. Question for you. Which one makes the biggest text?
Aha, the classic question. That's got to be the H1. It's the heavyweight champion of headings.
Exactly. And if you need a smaller subtitle, you'd reach for something like an H3. But this is about more than just font size, isn't it? There's a much bigger reason to use H1 correctly.
Oh, for sure. It's all about getting noticed by Google. You have to think of search engines like little robots scanning your page. When they see an H1, they basically stop and say, aha, this is the most important title on the page. It's a huge deal for SEO.
So basically, your H1 is you screaming at Google, hey, this is what my page is about. It's a simple tag, but it packs a serious punch when it comes to being found online.
Okay, last big rule for this section, and it's a big one, closing your tags. So most tags, like the P tag for a paragraph, they come in pairs. You have an opening tag, and you have to have a closing tag.
And the only difference, the thing you have to look for, is that little forward slash. That slash in /P is what tells the browser, okay, the paragraph ends here. If you forget it, well, things can get messy real fast.
So let's recap session 1. We've got the doc type, the head, the body, headings, and closing tags. What's the name of the language we're using to build this whole skeleton?
That is HTML. And with that, session 1 is officially in the books. Nicely done.
All right, let's roll right into session 2, images and attributes. Time to give our tags some superpowers.
I love that way of putting it. It's from Mr. Abdul Rahman's guide, and it's perfect. Your HTML tags are your basic Lego bricks, right? But attributes are like the special instruction manuals that tell the bricks what to do. They give them extra powers and abilities.
Okay, let's get into the image tag. First thing you need to know, and this trips people up, it's an empty tag. That means there's no closing image tag. It's a lone wolf.
Now, let's talk superpowers, the attributes. The first big one is source. What's that for, Jordan?
Source stands for source. It's the address, the file path that points to the image. Mess up the source, and all you get is that sad little broken image icon.
Okay, next up, the alt attribute. What's that about?
That's your backup plan. It stands for alternative text. If the image breaks, this text shows up instead. It's also super important for people using screen readers.
Good, and we can also control the image size with the width attribute. So that brings us to a great code red question from the guide. Why is image source equals dog.png totally broken?
Ah, the classic typo. It's got to be source, not scrore. That one little letter makes all the difference. Syntax is king in HTML. All right, next up is the other absolute powerhouse of the web, the anchor tag. You know it as the A tag. This is how you make links.
Yep. And its number one most important superpower is the href attribute. Href stands for hyperlink reference, and it's where you stick the web address you want to link to. So if you want the word Google to actually go to Google, you wrap it like this: ahref equals www.google.com. Google. Simple as that.
But here's a pro-level question for you, Alex. What if I don't want the user to leave my site? How do I make that link open in a brand new tab?
Aha! Great question. That's another attribute. You just add target equals blank. It's a tiny piece of code that makes a huge difference to the user experience. And just like that, you've mastered attributes.
Okay, on to session 3, documentation and teamwork. This is where we level up from just coding to thinking like professional developers.
Exactly. This is what Mr. Abdul Rahman calls coding the DevOps way. It's not just about what you write, it's about how you write it so that you can work effectively as part of a team.
Okay, so if you're working on a team, how do you communicate inside the code itself? The answer is comments. Now, here's the key question. Who are comments for? The user?
Nope, not at all. Comments are secret messages for your teammates. They are 100% invisible to anyone visiting the website. Think of them like sticky notes you leave for the next developer. You might write something like, hey, this part of the code is for the main menu, or don't touch this, it's fragile.
And the syntax is really specific. It has to start with dash, dash, question mark, and end with dash, dash, question mark. Anything you put inside is your secret note to the team. So let's make our first comment. A really common and useful one is just to label where a big section of the page begins.
For sure. A perfect example of an invisible note for the team would be exactly this. Comment, main content starts. It's simple, it's clear, and it makes life so much easier for everyone else on the project.
Okay, another huge part of writing pro-level code is called nesting. That's just a fancy word for putting tags inside of other tags.
Right, but you can't just do it any way you want. There's a golden rule, LIFO. It stands for last in, first out.
Think of it like putting on your shoes and socks. You put your socks on first, then your shoes. So what do you take off first? You have to take the shoes off before you can take the socks off. The last thing on is the first thing off.
It's the exact same with HTML tags. Look at the correct example. We open strong, then M. Because M was the last one in, it has to be the first one out. You have to close M before you can close strong. Getting this wrong is a super common way to break your website.
Speaking of different types of tags, let's talk about the BR tag. What does that little guy do?
That's your line break. If you want to force text onto the next line without starting a whole new paragraph, you use BR.
And here's the important question. Does it need a closing tag?
Nope. It's another one of our empty tag friends, just like the image tag. It just does its job, creates a line break, and that's it. No need to close it.
All right, team, you've made it. Welcome to the final boss, Session 4, the Alpha Challenge. This is it. This is where we go from just developing to performing at the alpha level. We're going to take everything we've learned and apply it to some tricky situations to prove we are absolutely exam ready. Let's go.
Okay, first up, code red. We've got a mistake on the screen. Look at that line of code very, very closely. There is a major error in there. Alex, do you see it?
Let's see. Everybody at home, take a good look. What do you think is wrong with that image tag?
Got it. Code fixed. The error is that closing ending IMG tag at the end.
That's it. We just learned this, right? The IMG tag is an empty tag. It never, ever gets a closing tag. Spotting that little mistake instantly, that's the difference between developing and alpha.
Okay, let's step back for a second and look at the big picture again. What's the correct nesting order for the whole document?
This is fundamental. You start with the HTML tag, which is like the giant box that holds everything. Inside that box, you put the body. And then inside the body, you put all your content, like your P tags.
Exactly. That is the non-negotiable structure. HTML wraps body, which wraps P. You got to know that cold. Okay, time for a real alpha level move. How do you combine two things we've learned to make an image that's also a link? Ooh, this is a great one. It's all about nesting. You take your normal IMG tag, the one that just shows a picture, and then you take the A tag, the link tag, and you use it to wrap around the entire image tag. So the A tag is the bread, and the IMG tag is the filling. The result? The whole image becomes one giant clickable button. It's a fantastic technique.
All right, one last pro tip to make sure this stuff really sticks.
A classic beginner mistake is putting attributes in the wrong place. So where do they go, Alex?
The rule is super simple, and you can't forget it. Attributes always go in the opening tag. Always. You will never, ever put an attribute like src or href in a closing tag. They belong at the start, no exceptions.
And when you put all this together, you get what Mr. Abdul Rahman calls the alpha mindset. It's a checklist for excellence. First, pay attention to syntax. Every single character matters.
Second, nest your tags the right way with the LIFO rule, last in, first out.
Third, use comments to talk to your team.
Fourth, understand the hierarchy. Know that H1 is king for SEO.
And finally, know your empty tags like IMG and BR. Master these 5 points and you are officially operating at the alpha level. And that's it. You've been through the whole gauntlet. You have completed the Alpha Challenge. You have everything you need. You've got this. You are ready. Go ace that exam.
And that's a wrap for us. We have to give one last massive thank you to Mr. Abdullah Rahman Mohammed, the ICT and CS specialist who put together this incredible revision guide for all the American Division students.
Seriously, his work was the foundation for everything we covered today. Good luck on your exams, everyone. You're going to crush it.